open from.
Evolution of emails?
Yeah.
I mean, we can start off with evolution of like ordering food too. So,
Huh?
yeah. I mean,
How's
how
that?
did we order food back in the day, right? Like when we were kids, like drive-through came around, like what, the 70s, 60s, 50s? When was the first
I don't
drive-through
know.
restaurant?
Dude, I mean, like, I grew up with drive-through.
I grew up with drive-through too, but
Yeah.
like my family didn't go to the drive-through every day like I do now. You know, or the DoorDash deliveries.
Oh,
and,
yeah, that's.
that's evolution. Is that
I don't do that. Like, that's just too expensive and too, like.
I'm just saying when you get
lazy
to that
to me.
luxury of
That's
lifestyle
true.
where you can.
I was like sitting outside of a closed
Yeah.
like Starbucks, and I like Uber Eats some like fast food, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's beautiful when you can get food delivered to you at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
and yeah, it was amazing. But wait, are we supposed to be talking about food here, or are we supposed to be talking
We
about
can talk
something?
about food because we
talk
can
about
then
whatever
go
we
into
want.
email. But, the evolution of food basically has evolved. Evolution of communication has evolved, right? We did postal mail, we did letters and postcards and things like back in the day when we were kids. But now we have this thing, email, that has been around for many years, but it has evolved. It has gotten
Right.
smarter. It has gotten more clever. Even though it looks the same the last 30 years, it is slowly getting better and better and better. And it's not going to die. It's not going to go away. It's just going to get better and better
Right.
and better.
I remember when Slack came out, they labeled themselves the email killer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's the buzzword, right?
Right.
Kill the emails.
Yeah, like everybody wants to be the killer of the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the Androids that came out said they were the iPhone killer,
Yeah.
the email killer. But it's like, there's certain things that just have such a substantial amount of utility that they're never going to go away. Like a book, right?
Mm-hmm.
The original data recording system.
Right.
Paper, pen, or ink on a page. That's
Right.
never going away.
And the style
Probably.
of it's not going away,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because you still have a book, even though it's on a Kindle or on
Right.
your phone or whatever. You still can read a book.
Right. So where does email fall into that strata of, to use a archaic term in a specific way, information technology? Like it is an information technology. It is how I communicate something. It's like where does that fall into the continuum of things?
Yeah, I mean, if you look in the last couple of years now, we have smart devices, smart watches. The communication is happening on our phones. It's happening by simple Morse code, even when you're walking down
Wait,
a
what?
street and your maps are on, and it's like two beeps or two buzzes is make a left turn, one buzz is make a right turn, right? Like that communication style is evolving in so
nuts.
many ways. And I think, in general, when we just talk about email evolving, who knows where we're going to go, but I think a lot of good foresight of what we're seeing is that we need to be responsive based on device usage as well. We're already doing it. We've done it with tablets and mobile phones and things like that. But let's get to the, what if you were blind? What if you were, needed Braille, or you needed a recording of the voice of what the text is? So accessibility, right,
Yeah.
is becoming a hot topic in the email industry.
So you said, where is the future of email going to go? Where do you think it's going to go? I know you mentioned a few things there.
Yeah, right. Where I think it's going to go is it's not going to go anywhere like dying. It's not going to die.
Not going away.
It's not going away.
Okay.
So people need to stop saying that, right? Like it's just open your eyes. Like it's not dying.
Right.
And now I will be the first to admit that I went to an email conference back when I was like in my teenager years, right? And I said, email is dead. I did. I said it. And that is not what you do at an email conference. I will say that really, really well to all the newbies out there that are listening to this podcast. Because if they didn't go to an email conference and they came to this podcast first, they want to learn not to say email is dead at an email conference.
What happened to you?
I got kicked out, I felt like. But no.
Shunned?
You get that little embarrassed
Did they put
heckle.
Did they put like a mark on you so everybody knew you were a non-believer?
Yeah, pretty much.
Scarlet letter.
Yeah, and then I had to work my apology for the next 10 years of my life, and that's pretty much how I fell into email marketing.
Were you speaking at this thing or something?
No.
Like,
Well,
how did word spread? Like,
like when you're a kid in the software world, like IT people, they're just really cocky and arrogant.
yep.
Right.
Been
you
there.
just learn to be a little bit more humble in life growing up.
Right.
That was when I was not humble.
There you
And I
go.
kind of just called it out. I'm like, email's dead. I just
Email
remember
sucks.
saying that and just
Yeah.
getting like, what? And there's some big names in that room that it felt very intimate setting. Like there was only maybe 15, 20 people, I
Yeah.
would say.
Oh, okay.
And I might be under exaggerating still, but I feel like there was only a handful of people in that room.
Right.
It was kind of like a round table collaborative talk.
Okay. I
And
see
this is
what you're
many
saying.
years ago, so
Yeah. And now you're hosting an email-centric podcast.
yeah, now
Wow.
I'm paying for this email marketing podcast so I can continue my efforts of apologizing to the email world of saying email is dead.
You
Don't
know,
say it. Just don't say it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So email is not dead.
Email is not dead.
It is alive and it is growing towards something. But what?
It's
is
becoming
that?
an emu. I mean, it's
An
becoming
emu?
it's becoming an
A big
animal.
old bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. A murder chicken, as they say.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Murder chicken.
You've done your facts.
I'm a fat guy. Well, that's really cool.
That's why you're here.
Okay, so today is we're going like email 101, right? So
Mhm.
where do you start for a noob? I'm kind of a noob. I'm kind of an email noob.
Yeah, you are.
Help
I've seen some of the emails that you've delivered to my inbox.
Oh my gosh.
In your past life. I don't think we'll name any company names or anything like that, but I remember seeing some of your emails and I was like, whew,
You know,
I'm gonna bail on this one.
I was that guy. I was the guy like I freaking hate email. I wish it would die.
Yeah, we all are.
I was that guy.
We still are that guy.
And
Internally, we still hate email because of
so
something in the email space.
that's actually a really good point because a lot of those emails that I was sending for that big organization, it's like, some big organizations treat certain aspects of business as like, oh, they can do that and that and that and that. Is email marketing alone like it shouldn't be like a side thing, right? Sending emails to massive amount of people, there's a lot behind it. Right. So like what would you say to the manager that's like, oh yeah, give the email blast to the kid over there that
Yeah, I would say to newbies going in, like just from the basis of newbies, your first question is like, okay, I'm new to this. How many contacts am I working with? Like, how many people can I really make really mad at me, piss off? Like, what size volume are we talking about? Like 10,000 contacts?
it's like a risk assessment.
Yeah, it's a risk assessment for yourself because you're going to fail. Like in email marketing, you're gonna fail. You're gonna make a mistake. A typo is the like the least like not so bad versus sending to all your unsubscribes.
Lowest tier.
Lowest tier, yeah.
Lowest tier offense.
That's a typo or a missing period. Although there are some grammar nerds out there that
Oh,
are,
I'm sure.
yeah, they can.
Yeah,
it's like a Catholic wrist slap, like bam, like you know.
Yeah, I've received responses from those people.
So I don't think you're alone. I think I have too, and I
I'm
think
sure.
everyone listening has
Yep,
at some point in time.
We've all been there.
Yeah, and that's how you learn, right? So you have to make mistakes. You know you're going to make mistakes. Where do you want to start your career off in the email space? You probably in the web space. You're doing other things, and then you're saying, "Oh, you're going to do this little side gig of email world."
Like, is it a side gig?
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. It's not supposed to be.
Right.
It shouldn't be. I mean.
Yeah, because it can. Like, I was doing some research, and it's like it accounts for a huge percentage of sales for many companies. And like the ROI of email marketing done well is huge. Like I think I read somewhere like in 2019, like for every dollar spent, there was like $50 in return or something like that.
Yeah, I heard those stats, and I wonder, just based on looking at analytics so much and data science so much in this email space, how much is it really exaggerated? Because doesn't that sound crazy?
It
$1 spends, you get what, $50 you said back in return?
Yeah, it says this is from the Data and Marketing Association, DMA.org. It says email has the potential to deliver the greatest ROI of every marketing channel, achieving $52 for every dollar spent in 2019.
Yeah.
Which just, I mean, that sounds too good to be true.
And there's facts to why it's too good to be true, and there's also facts to why it's not too good to be true. So let me start off why I think it's too good to be true. I think it's too good to be true because I've seen some teams, some clients I've worked with that don't attribute their like revenue to this email very correctly. I mean, very well, you know. So
How so?
meaning like you send an email that is to do like a booking, like reserve a massage or reserve something
Okay.
of this nature, right? And then you have
Sounds like Groupon.
it's don't you do it. Don't you say
we're not-
names that I work with. It's
Oh, I
not
mean,
Groupon.
it's not Groupon.
It's not Groupon.
Wait,
but
I don't even know what that is.
I mean, generally speaking, though, it's you're sending an email and then you're making a goal happen where you're reserving a spot, you're booking a hotel room, whatever, and you're attributing the dollars that were, you know, spent on credit cards sometimes to that room, right? But there's expenses, and now running a business and having 10 plus employees and knowing everything about financials and business world, there's all kinds of expenses to booking that hotel. That did it really generate that much, you know, profit? Did it generate that much,
Okay.
you know? And when we say revenue, what do we really visualize? $1 spent makes $50 revenue. How much profit was down at the end of the day? Like, how much is it really making us sending
point.
that one email? Because I'll tell you, there's teams that send out emails and it takes them like 6 weeks, 4 weeks to send an email. There's all the worst of it is like when it's the last minute and you're about to send and there's all this like last minute feedback that's like, oh, you have to fix
hate
this,
that.
change the subject line, do this, do that.
It's so stressful.
Yeah, it's super stressful.
So, like, for those people that take 3-4 weeks, is that because there's a lot of work going into it, or is that because they're like they got to get like everything checked by management levels, or it, like what are the scenarios there? Like, is that normal? Is that the right way? Is that the wrong way?
Well, everybody can improve, right? So one of the biggest things that I'm finding in the email space that I've learned in the software engineering world is that the email space doesn't really have the project management, the process management, the software level of management, because a lot of companies that are sending these emails, which are all companies, should be all companies. I don't know of a single company that's not sending an email, or at least talking about like, we're going to send an email soon. I would say that the answer to the question is like, you can always do better no matter how efficient you might think you are. And,
Yeah.
you know, just bringing someone from the outside, like a new hire, like a new contractor, somebody, just for a few months, just to look at like, hey, does this make sense? And if it takes them 6 hours to send an email from the day they started, 6 hours, and they can send you an email, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's
Seems like it.
like from start to zero to nothing. Like you just came into a new process, and 6 hours later, you're sending them an email to the right audience, and you made no mistakes. Something went right,
Okay.
right? So, but if it took them days,
Yeah.
months, never, and you still made mistakes, it would not be great.
Right.
You know? So
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard because we're going to be talking, you know, from small groups to big groups to large enterprises, people that have only a couple hundred contacts, like my company Avigate, right?
Right.
We're talking B2B. But when we're talking to like the companies out there like Etsy and Google and Twitter, they have millions, if not billions, of contact information out there that's in the world, in the space.
Yeah. So, like, I guess, what does it look like for small business versus like bigger business? Because I know you guys manage like huge accounts, and then like I'm sure there's a lot of like smaller businesses out there listening, startups. Because and I know you've been in the startup world also, so you've kind of seen both sides.
Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, I mean, we even have our own startup, right?
Right.
That Blocks Edit, the email editor.
Exactly.
And growing that and seeing that growth has been difficult and challenging. And it starts from zero, nothing, absolutely zero. And that's, you know, we'll save that for topic for another day with Ovi and just go through that because it's
Right.
going to be fun. But I would say that from a growing of a business, so ask your question one more time.
Yeah. So let me see. So like talking about email strategies, doing it right, doing it wrong, but also like there's the perspective of startup stage versus like a big business. Because I know
Yep.
I know like Avigate has some larger companies,
Right.
but you also work with startups, and I know you've worked in big companies and you've worked in startups, and you're kind of doing you kind of have experience in the full spectrum.
Sure.
So how does that
Number one tip,
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Everybody overthinks it. I even overthink it. From like the business owner side, like, oh, let's let's change this last minute thing. I need those people that are the outsider, my friends like you, that come in and say, stop. Don't overthink it. Let's just get on recording and start making a podcast. Let's see how we can, make the next step. That's how you got to do an email. That's how you successfully keep moving forward. I think the people that are taking too much time sending and they're not really seeing if the goals are being met. They're not asking the question to why are we sending this email? That's the biggest thing about when you're building an email. If you're building this email and you're not asking the question like, what is this for?
Right.
Why am I sending it? You're just doing whatever someone told you.
Right.
Then there's a problem.
You're mailing it in.
Yeah, you're literally the postmail that just gets the mail and puts it in the mailbox.
Right. So having kind of an intuitive, intelligent understanding of why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, it almost reminds me of like a pitch, right?
Right.
Like you got to know who you're talking to. Like you said, who your audience is. If you have those curated audiences in your database,
right,
who you're sending to, you should know how your message interfaces with those people, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously you're going to get results from that.
Yeah. I mean, think about it like a carrier for an actual shipping box. Like if you were a FedEx delivery driver, right? Okay. It just any delivery driver. It doesn't have to be names. But
sure.
Just if you were a delivery driver and you carried this box and you packed it, you knew what was inside of it, and you saw all the contents inside, right? And then you carried that package and you put it on your truck and you delivered it all the way across the country, drove it all the way there, and then you handed it to the person and you watched them not open the box.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, that's what email does.
Oh,
you are literally building the email. Like you're putting all the contents in this, and then you are, carrying it, you're delivering it to the right audience, you're delivering it all the way to their inbox, and you're even able to see that the person you sent it to didn't open the box.
Damn.
Yeah, that is a good reaction to email.
Okay, so this I know, right?